So Gameoverse creator RubberRoss just answered a bunch of lore questions about the show and a bunch of questions about the show itself, such as will there be a season 2? Let's get into it. How protective is Caboodle of Kit? Extremely. Would you add fan-made characters to Gameoverse? Not what it's called and very unlikely. Will Kickflip Macaulay make his grand return in Gameoverse 26? Elite ball knowledge and no comment. What character are you most looking forward to people seeing more of? The character in the post that absolutely none of you are talking about and entirely ignoring. If Gameoverse was adapted into an actual game, what kind would it be? Video game. How would Kit react if she got trapped in a digital circus? It would just be a regular circus to her, so I think she'd be looking for where to buy the snacks, curious about when the show starts, and confused why the performers look so sad. Will there be any Gurren Lagann references in Gameoverse? Probably, it's my favourite anime. How did you pitch your show to Glitch? I didn't. Luke and Kevin watched an old version of it before Glitch even existed. I guess it stuck with them, so years later, here we are. Will Iron Mouse and Connor perhaps have any voice acting cameos in particular for Gameoverse? I wouldn't rule it out. I love stuff like that. How did it feel to have Chris Sabat voice one of your characters? Pretty gosh darn epic. What's important to have on an artist/animator's portfolio if we want to work on your show? No clue. I just find people doing insanely cool animations via Twitter and Instagram and DM them to ask if they're free. So, share your best work on socials? What's been the coolest/most fulfilling moment or reaction after releasing Gameoverse? Seeing my niece and nephews draw my characters. Gobbles can learn absolutely everything, or does he have limitations? No comment. Are there any future plotlines you're really excited to share in later episodes? If so, a hint? Oh okay, dog emoji. How fun is it to play as Forward? It's awesome, I love playing him, he's such a rat bastard. Is every IRL game canon to Gameoverse? No comment. Is Scratch older or younger than Kit? Same age. Are there any villains in the Farcade or heroes in Syntax? While I won't answer, I will say this. I think the morality of a character depends on how they deal with grief. If the Farcade is acceptance, then the Syntax is bargaining. Who would win in the fight? Crab Girl or Optimus Prime? Crab Girl would never attack Optimus, because he would never attack her. What's your favourite form of animation? 2D or 3D? 2D. I'm not a 3D animator. My skills are very limited there. How does it feel to get your series off the ground? It feels rewarding. There were times when I didn't think it would happen, and some seriously tragic production setbacks along the way pre-Glitch. Maybe one day I'll share those stories, but in the end, it only made the final project better. Favourite piece of Gameoverse merch? Those Animinies. I helped design them, which is why they're so accurate to the characters. So many redline notes directly from me. Do demos exist in the Gameoverse? No. Is Fold able to change his size and weight like with the anchor? Great question. Yes actually. It uses cartoon logic. His forms have different weight classes, it defies real world logic clearly, but he's a game character, and being realistic doesn't really make things fun. If you could go back 20 years and show yourself one scene of the pilot, what would it be? None of it. Why would I spoil the journey with the destination? Did Warwick and Dusk ever clash? Could it happen again? No comment. Can you tell us anything about my goat Crab Girl? She is Crab Girl. What animation software do you prefer to animate Gameoverse in? Clip Studio Paint. Does Forward and Misinformation's rivalry get in the way of their job at all? They are highly functional frenemies, so no. What does Gobbles do besides being an iPad kid? He likes to read books and explore. Did you choose to be Forward, or did you have another character in mind for voice acting? I have always voiced Forward, in every version of the show I had. Was Jay Schlatt always meant to voice Caboodle? No, because he was a minor when I started working on it, but he was always a dick. You knew exactly what you were doing giving Fold those hips, didn't you? Yeah. Will we get backstories on Misinformation or Forward? If the show is successful enough, I'd love to tell everyone's backstory somehow. What's your favourite Gameoverse scene or quote?
Enjoy dying, dickheads! Wait!
Can Forward shapeshift into anything? Depends on the complexity. But if he has learnt the pattern, then yes, it becomes a part of his arsenal. Do the floaties have different variations to them? There are 3 types currently. Armoured, the horned one, Speed, the purple flying one, Based, the white one that only shows up for one shot during the snappers fight. It was supposed to be more prominent, but due to a production error, it was only in one shot of the pilot. What Pokemon would Kit have? Magnemite. Who is your favourite character from Gameoverse? Other than my boy Forward, this girl. People are underestimating her. She is not a one-off gag character. Which indie animated project are you most looking forward to? besides the continuation of yours. I know a lot of what Nick has planned, and you guys are in for a treat. Watch Gaslight District. Favorite digital circus character? Kinga. In Gameoverse, would they ever visit game worlds without a villain or hero? Every single hypothetical you can think of for the show, I have something planned or an answer for. I have had over 10 years to figure this out. You'll just have to wait and see. You know who else likes to say that? I will say the pilot covers this with one word. Usually, there is a hero and a villain. That's all I'll say. Biggest unexpected struggle with showrunning. Eventually want to have my own show too. Trying to recruit people and them not having their contact information anywhere. Please put contact info on your socials. That and trying to cut back on vision when something is running over time. Animation is expensive. What shows inspired Gameoverse? Reboot. Is Gameoverse going to be one season like TADC, or is it going to be longer running? It entirely depends on how well it is received moving forward. I will say I think I have it in me right now to do more than one season, but that would be a first for a Glitch show. I'm open to it if the support is there. Which Gameoverse character would you get along with the most if they existed in real life? You haven't met them yet. What kind of game is Crab Girl from? A crab game. Anyone remember Danny? Gobbles was playing his own game in the pilot. Can Kit and Kabuto play theirs? The devices they hold are called manuals. As well as being useful field devices, they can use them to create rudimentary games/entertainment of their own. But they're not alive. Gobbles tailor-made that game using its very simple interface. He even drew the visuals himself. I think he was homesick. Which Gameoverse character did you design first? Technically Gobbles, but of the modern reboot that would be followed. He was from a Newgrounds Flash game I never got to finish. It was a platformer. Biggest takeaway from showrunning now that you have a pilot under your belt? That people don't realise that animation production is a game of compromise. With limited time and resources, sometimes you can't fix everything, and bad animation is better than no animation. You just have to give it your all with the time you have and hope for the best. One favourite memory while making Gameoverse? Seeing the storyboard animatic for the first time in my living room. I'm pausing to happy cry because it was everything I hoped it would be. It's hard not to get emotional when you see your dream coming together in real time. Was Kingdom Hearts one of the inspos for the spaceship travelling in Gameoverse? Actually no, I've never played it. There's a picture of my friend Alltreef explaining the plot to me, which went a bit viral actually. The context of that image, which I couldn't share at the time, was that someone had made that comparison and he stood there and explained to me the entire plot of the games. I see why people say it, but no, never got into it. Do you ever plan to do mixed media for Gameoverse? Claymation, 3D, CGI, etc.? I think it could happen. Clay might be a bit out of my wheelhouse though, no plans currently. Would you attend panels at conventions for Gameoverse? I don't know. Maybe if Glitch asked me to. I'm a bit tired of doing convention appearances from the Game Grumps days of doing them all the time. We'll see. Did you ever pitch Gameoverse to cover companies aside from Glitch? Just about all of them. It was always, we already have a video game show. How does it feel seeing your characters starting to become beloved to people other than you? Like they're all grown up. Which Gameoverse character is most like you? Bold. Do you have other ideas for shows you would still like to pitch someday? Yes. Is there any chance of a Gameoverse game as a side project? My dream for the show would be to make the games the characters are from, but as prequels to the narrative. But that is a massive undertaking. Kit's game is basically a spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends. So now that's something I want to do one day. The show would have to do really well for that to happen. Any dragons in Gameoverse? Yes, actually. Are you planning on having Matt continue to voice Crab Girl? Yes. It was something he recorded in 2017 for Temp Audio. But it was too funny and I kept it. Those are the same lines. He will be back to do more variation, I'm sure. Flapper's game had a menu, so are there players playing these games? No comment. If Gameoverse could have an actual crossover to from another game, what would it be? Silent Hill 2. Kit tells James to forget about his dead wife and to try out dating apps. How did you get Michael Cusack to play Snappers? We asked him. Is there any pressure for the show to get as big as Digital Circus, either from internal or fans? Internally, no. It honestly did better than I hoped. People saying this or that this is the next Digital Circus is unusual to me. I think they mean that in a performance/view sense, but realistically we are all making shows we want to watch/see. Putting ourselves in our work a little. For like-minded audiences, not setting out to replace those before us, if that makes sense. I think Goose made something that was uniquely her, and none of us can replace that. She pulled off something legendary with TADC. Proud of her. Are there any specific game inspirations for Gameoverse? Reboot and Transformers were some of the big ones. If you could get anyone, dead or alive, to voice a character on Gameoverse, who'd you choose? Orson Welles. Will Gameoverse get as big as Digital Circus? Probably not, but that's fine by me. How many more Australia references are you planning to sneak into Gameoverse? There's 2 very big ones I have planned that one half of the country will catch very quickly. Is there going to be a Gameoverse movie in the future? No plans. But if there was one, I know what part of the story it'd be. Show has to do really well for that to happen. Is Gameoverse gonna have a crossover into another show or a multiverse? No plans, but if I did, it wouldn't be canon. Which Gameoverse character is the most difficult to animate? Warwick. His robot arm/hand is brutal, and surprisingly a lot of people struggle with Gobbles at first. He's deceptively difficult. Is there going to be an episode 2 of Gameoverse in late 2026? No comment. Does a laser pointer distract Kit? Yeah. Does Gobbles like any food in particular? Alphabet soup. What is the name of the witch girl on the poster? No comment. But she's a very important character. Probably even the most important. What's some cat-like behaviour you'd give/show Kit doing? I'd thought it'd be funny for her to say right meow instead of right now. Maybe even a you gotta be kidding me right meow. But we didn't do it. Subscribe, like and follow for more Gameoverse and glitch related content.